Hello, I'm Dr. Brant Gibson, and tonight, or I should say almost this morning since it's so late, I would like to go into a little bit more depth on how the Gibson method works. So, the idea, if you've watched me for very long, I've told my story where initially I started to get numbness and pain and even a pretty significant from anytime I would sit and drive for a long period of time, or if I put my arm around my wife. And I've had some people that I was talking about as I told that story before. They says, "Well, what did you do?" And I've been vague. I've been too vague in the past, and so a lot of people don't know exactly what the process was that I went through to make sure that I could figure out the best way to treat peripheral neuropathy. For me, yes, but also for other individuals. So let me tell you my story. The idea is I've been working on peripheral neuropathy for uh, well over 18 years. We're having significant pain, and they were unable to actually get the treatment, get the care, get what they needed. And in most cases, they were being told there was nothing you could do. And I don't like that answer. That doesn't make sense to me. So I literally says, okay, I need to figure this out for me, and then I'll be able to do it and help other patients do the same thing. So what I did is I literally started to read anything and everything I could. I read every book I could find on peripheral neuropathy. I would buy it, bring it home, and read it. I'd study it. I would read all the articles that I could find. I was doing articles, things that I could read on peripheral neuropathy, and what I was finding is that there was so much information that people were not being told. There was so much information out there. And then I also found that there was a lot of incorrect information on the internet. Surprise, surprise. And I was trying to say, okay, how do I pull all this together and help it figure out how to make it work for them? So I decided I'd start trying some of the different things that happen. I tried multiple different diets. So I went through and says, okay, I'm going to eat differently. If I'm more healthy, will my nerves be more healthy? I tried the Atkins diet. I tried limiting calories. I tried uh, eliminating sugar and not using sugars, and even eliminating. The more I did, the more I realized that none of these were actually the solution. None of these actually completely worked for me. Um, I even tried just the intermittent fasting type idea with the hope that by fasting for periods of time and then eating normal for other periods of time, that this would improve. And again, this had no effect, had zero effect on my peripheral neuropathy. I tried multivitamins. I says, okay, let me take vitamins, try to make myself more nutritious that way. Multivitamins didn't touch it. I tried um, exercise and says, okay, if I increase my exercise and I process, none of this completely fixed my peripheral neuropathy by itself. So each piece, each step says, okay, this is a piece, but it's not doing enough. It's not taking it all the way. And so I'm saying, okay, there's not just one easy fix. Oh, one side note, I did not have any desire and I was unwilling to try medications. The more I read about them, the more I studied them, the more I realized this was not the way that I wanted to treat my peripheral neuropathy, because in the long run, it wasn't doing anything. It wasn't actually fixing the problem. So the more I learned, the more I understood, the more I realized that it wasn't just a one thing fix. One thing is going to fix my peripheral neuropathy. In fact, even just for me, there wasn't one thing. It was a process. It was kind of this structure because I think this is the key. The idea is if you want true nerve health, if you want to treat your peripheral neuropathy in such a way that you can actually get your nerves healthy so they don't interfere with your life, this is what I had to do. Number one, I had to understand peripheral neuropathy. I studied like crazy. I went and spent hundreds and hundreds of hours reading and studying and finding results. And I'm spending hours every week still studying and reviewing and learning peripheral neuropathy to say, okay, what more can I do? And so what I've done is compile all that into a smaller uh, truly understand peripheral neuropathy, and not just understand peripheral neuropathy, but understand how my peripheral neuropathy was different. What were the triggers? What were the things that could make it feel better? What were the things that would make it feel worse? And are there any things that I could do to really say, okay, let me give my life back, where I can actually put my arm around my wife and not have to take it down after a period of time? Um, I could sit through a whole movie with my arm around my wife doing some of these pieces. So number two, I needed to manage the symptoms. So I knew what the triggers were. I knew what was going to cause it. So I needed to find ways to manage the triggers. And there was certain, one of them being vitamin B1, benfotiamine. And by increasing the thiamine in my system using benfotiamine, I was able to improve the functioning of my nerves. Number two, I was actually able to take a vitamin called niacin, which is vitamin B3. Niacin improves blood flow. The interesting thing with the numbness to my fingertips was I found that if I could improve the blood flow, that was actually helping the peripheral neuropathy. So vitamin B1 was one. Niacin was one. These are not necessarily the vitamins that they're always recommended. Vitamin 1, of course, is now becoming a more common one, but niacin is not recommended for peripheral neuropathy, but for me, it worked phenomenally well. The third vitamin that I actually recommended, but my vitamin B12 was normal. But by taking vitamin B12, I was able to improve my peripheral neuropathy and really help the problem. So that's where I started. And so by doing that, I was managing the symptoms. I no longer got the numbness and tingling and pain just from doing some of those things. But it would last for a little while, and then I'd have days when it was still bad, when there were still problems. And so I says, okay, I need to go to the next step. And so number one, I understood my peripheral neuropathy. I understood what the triggers were, and we're treating that and trying to find ways to reduce that. Number two, I was managing the symptoms in this case just by using jaw in my case. Number three says, okay, I've got to do a bigger thing because the vitamins don't work forever. They would work sometimes, and then they start to go backwards. And I'd say, okay, is there something else I need to do? Something else I need to add? And so I need to improve the health. I need to say, okay, what can I do? So the next thing that I started doing is I said, okay, I need to eat differently. And I'm not talking about a diet because the diets weren't working. I tried them all. Instead, I was going to say, okay, what nutrients do I need? And so what I did is I increased my fruits and my vegetables to 8 servings a day. Yes, 8. That's a lot of servings. That was basically the main thing I was eating. But by doing that, nature's 8 fruits, 8 vegetables, and 8 uh, servings of water a day, and then I could eat anything I wanted besides that. And I was found that I was getting significant improvement of my health. Now that's a very, very, very difficult process. And so in the process of studying this out, I was looking for another option, and I ended up running into the 7 systems plan, which is another way to improve health without being as drastic on the fruits and vegetables and that kind of stuff. You can eat a more normal meals using some key pieces that he teaches. And then doing that, I was actually doing really, really well, but I did find that I needed to have truly thrive, say, okay, I'm on the nerve damage, but to truly thrive, to truly live an extraordinary life, I needed to improve my energy. I needed to improve my ability to function. And the exercise was able to do that. So by adding exercise to my regimen as well, I improved a great deal. And I was able to notice exactly what was going on. The interesting thing is by looking at it this way as a 4-step stool, then we can actually do this for every single individual. If you're saying, okay, my peripheral neuropathy is different. Yes, it is. Your peripheral neuropathy is not like anybody else's. So what are we going to do? We're going to understand your symptoms of few pieces that you can manage right up front, where you start working on managing those symptoms so you can actually say, okay, I can function. Number three, we're going to control the nerve damage. So once we actually get the symptoms, so you're kind of controlling them, so okay, how do we improve the health of the nerve by controlling the damage that's happening? And in that case, our goal is not just to stop the damage, but hopefully improve the nerves. They help repair the nerves and reset the nerves and re-educate the nerves, whatever it takes to actually get them functioning like they're supposed to. And then the fourth is to give you a long-term process to maintain this. And it needs to be something that's not so drastic that you cannot do it. And that's the idea. That's the Gibson method. For nearly 20 years is a process to take you from severe discomfort, distraction, and disability of peripheral neuropathy and move you over to an opportunity to live an extraordinary life, even with peripheral neuropathy, and not have it keep you from doing the things you want to do. And the truth is, if you can do that, then you have no limitations. You can literally take back your life. This is Dr. Brant Gibson, and this is your Neuropathy Nugget Day 216. I hope that was helpful as you look and see exactly what the Gibson method means and how it can help you. If you I've now, no matter where you are in the world, you can actually start getting help through this 90-day boot camp, the Gibson Method 90-day boot camp, where you will have weekly processes. Through each week, you will have responsibilities and jobs and things to do to take the first step forward, the second step forward. So through 12 distinct steps, you will be able to get there. And I also allow you to visit with me once a week to get additional information or get your questions answered and so forth. This is Dr. Brant Gibson. Have a great rest of your day. You will probably know there are options. You don't have to continue to suffer with peripheral neuropathy. You can truly live an extraordinary life even with peripheral neuropathy. Thank you, and have a great night or a great rest of your day, depending on when you see this.